are, 9 o'clock on the dot. Good morning, everyone. So I have almost completely lost my voice, so I'm speaking in a lower register in case you're wondering about that. I think it's the universe telling me that I need to stop talking so much. So, but I just wanted to share some really sweet and fun moments from yesterday. But before I do that, if anyone is interested in pitching this morning and you haven't already signed up, if you could see Lillian, she has her hand up right over there. And really, it's as simple as like, if we were all to hear what you said, and we're like, man, that's a good idea. We could do that too. That's a good example of a solution or an idea that you could have to share with everyone. Because we really love hearing all of the cool and interesting things happening all over the country. I feel like there's someone here who's dressed for their part, but I'm not gonna point them out. I love it. So, see Lillian, if you'd like to pitch, we have space for probably 2 more super simple, low stress, casual fun, but sticks to 60 seconds. So, I also wanted to say how many of you saw this on the front cover of our local newspaper? So thank you so much to the Keene Sentinel for covering yesterday, and thanks Sean and all the Sentinel team. I just love having this weaved into our local news landscape. The other thing I wanted to say is, this is the first year that I've really felt like this true community is being formed. Maybe it's because my team has gotten to the point where I can actually engage with people more, but it's like seeing people year after year and keeping in touch during the year and supporting each other with what we're going through. And, you know, I'm looking at Sarah, who, you know, when we saw each other yesterday, she's from Kansas, I'm from here, and we're like, hold on, I have something for you, and we both whipped out a card that we had written for each other. And just having relationships like that year after year, that we get to see each other and not be in rural work alone, I feel like the momentum is just truly, truly building, and it's really beautiful. I did want to also clarify that the $15 in 15 minutes or less, the lunch places, that means that they'll have something for you that you can get that is $15, and you can get it in 15 minutes or less. It's not a $15 discount on anything that's in there, so I did want to clarify that. And I also wanted to draw attention to the pop-up stations at lunchtime again. I went by there yesterday and they looked incredible. The station where they were talking about regulating yourself, I loved that one, because if we're actually and truly gonna do the work of bridging with each other across differences, that's gonna require conversations where we don't agree with each other. It's gonna require taking yourself out of your comfort zone. And when we do that, it's inevitable that we get activated. But there's ways that we can manage that, like really pragmatic ways. And she has like a whole list of ways that you can do that. So stop by, chat with her. And then her name's Anina. And then with Raquel's station, which is the one that's talking about how to come to consensus as a community, she has a lot of really pragmatic kind of tools that you can use when trying to bring consensus on a community level. And then the pop-up play station, I just want to say, I feel like yesterday proved that adults are really bad at playing. We've got to get better at that. I know sometimes when my kids tell me, like, I really want to play this game, I'm like, oh, that sounds terrible, like, I don't want to do that. But then sometimes if I actually take the time and sit down and do it, I'm like, let's play again. So sometimes you just have to like crest that hill and just give it a try. And you should know too that the activities you can do in 3 minutes or less. You don't have to spend a lot of time there. And they have really sweet things, like one of them is they're making a playlist, a Spotify playlist. And so you choose a song that reminds you of a person or a place, something like that, and they're gonna send us the whole completed playlist at the end of this. There's a new take on volleyball, there's a word mural, so please stop by. And thank you again to the Springfield College students for doing that for us this week. Okay, so we're keeping it short and sweet this morning. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief from the announcements. We are going to launch right into our Solution Slam and get some great ideas from each other. Now, after that, let's see, here we go. I practiced this earlier and it did advance. There we go. So after the Solution Slam, we're going to aim for like 9:55 to be done with that. And then Marc Brackett is our keynote speaker this morning, and he's going to be talking about closing what we know we should do with what we're actually doing gap, which is super important for many things, health, but also reweaving our social fabric. And so he'll be with us, and then we'll have some brief comments and then be done. The prize money this morning for the Solution Slam is coming from Geyer & Sons Roofing, and they are here with us this morning. We have Gil and Sean with us, and Gil is going to be coming up and telling us a little bit, and you can go ahead and head up while I finish talking, he's going to be telling us a little bit about some of the creative things that their business is working on. Because last year we had Good Fortune Jewelers who were talking about the ways that they creatively distribute wealth in the community through their business. And they also have like a blessings box right outside where folks can leave something, take something that they need. And so we really like having businesses sponsor this prize that are doing creative and replicable things that other folks can share. So he's going to share for a few minutes about what they have, what they're working on, and then we'll get the slam started. Okay, come on up, Gil.
Thanks, Juliana. First, let me start by thanking Hannah Grimes and the Keene Sentinel for hosting Radically Rural. It's been so great so far. I've met some amazing people over the last 24 hours and made some great connections already. I'm very grateful for this opportunity in this moment to be standing here in front of you with so many brilliant minds and kind hearts in this room. I'm very excited to witness your ideas in the Solution Slam today. So as Juliana mentioned, my name is Gil. My partner is Sean McPhee. We're co-owners of Geyer & Sons Roofing. I'm very fortunate to work with one of my best friends, and we've been your local roofer for over 50 years. We should probably change that because now it's about 60 years, and we're very committed to giving back to our community. Many of our communities lack basic needs: economic needs, social needs, environmental needs, infrastructure needs, cultural needs. The nonprofits in our communities are vital. They're essential in solving most of these needs. So we've come up with an initiative, and it's called Growth by Giving. So what is that? As I mentioned, it's an initiative. It's a movement. Simply put, what we're doing is united businesses together to support and give back to the local nonprofits of our communities. How? Donate, volunteer, advocate. We're not trying to recreate the wheel here. There are incredible nonprofits in our communities with amazing people leading them. Growth by Giving in itself is not a nonprofit. Neither does it collect fees or turn a profit. What it is, it's a brand, it's a name, it's a vehicle to align these businesses alongside, be known for, be respected by, and be referred by your neighbors that you are helping through your business in our communities. Why? Because businesses want to know that they are aligned with well-known businesses that are pillars in our communities and have their names mentioned in the same breath. They say that word of mouth is the best type of advertising. You're going to trust a referral from your neighbor, your friend, your family member, because you know them. And if they refer someone to you or a business to you, you're probably going to go with them. Let me give you some data from Forbes. 71% of Americans think companies have a greater responsibility than ever to address social issues. And they want brands to do more than just talk. They want to support brands that back their words with actions for causes they care about. When given the choice between two similar brands and products, 71% of consumers will purchase from a purpose-driven company over the alternative. Nearly 80% of consumers are more likely to remember a company with a strong purpose and 4.5 times more likely to recommend it to friends and family. 4.5 more times to recommend to friends or family. That's a staggering number. So how do we do this? The idea is aligning the name Growth by Giving with businesses in the community that are known to be philanthropic and altruistic. This is the key to it all. To have major players, major business players in the community, these stakeholders be involved and help support the name recognition of Growth by Giving. Therefore, aligning these small businesses with Growth by Giving that are taking part in this community initiative to give back to our community. A great example is the first two businesses I approached within the last couple of months, Savings Bank of Walpole and Ted and Shoe Sports. Ted and Shoe Sports is basically a couple of doors down from the Colonial Theater here. These companies are well known for many, many years to be involved in giving back to the community. These are the type of businesses that companies want to be aligned with. How do you do it? It's simple. You choose what nonprofit your business wants to be aligned with within the community. It's up to you, but we can help if we need guidance. Maybe you find a cause that may resonate with you. Maybe a cause you deeply care about. Why? Because compassion brings passion, and passion brings purpose. How many businesses do we have in our communities? 100, thousands? We just need a small percentage of them to step up and move forward with us. We as business owners have a wonderful opportunity. Actually, it's a responsibility to help our community's needs. Just think about the power we have as a collective, a collaborative unit of individual thinkers that want to create positive change in our communities. Yes, and you do hear me correctly, we, our, us. This is intentional, folks. You see, we are inherently created to help one another, to be connected and thrive together. Separation is an illusion fed to us by society, and we say no more. Our belief is that there is easily more than enough businesses in our communities, enough assets, enough abundance to help solve the majority of the issues we face. We have a responsibility as business owners in this country to help our communities thrive. These communities spend their hard-earned dollars on our services, and we pledge to donate, volunteer, or advocate to these communities that support us. The great thing is that these nonprofits that your business supports are in turn going to support you, word of mouth, website, social media. Currently, we have gathered the support from Fanatic Media Group, fully supporting Growth by Giving initiative and mentioning our business partners with free radio ads over the next 3 months. The Keene Sentinel has also stepped up to support. Your business will be known as one that helps its neighbors, and consumers will increase support of your business. Growth by Giving. So we already know the giving part. Donate, volunteer, advocate. What is the growth? Well, the growth is the growth of your business, the growth of you becoming more connected to your community, the growth of self, and the growth of yourself spiritually by doing what is beneficial and right for all of us. We want to inspire businesses to join us in this movement, and by doing so, we seek to build vibrant economies and strengthen our communities. I'm so very grateful to have had this opportunity, this moment on the stage. We hope that you can take Growth by Giving into your communities. I'll be around over the next day. If anybody wants to come talk to me, we do have a website, growthbygiving.org. Let our businesses be the change we wish to see in our communities. Thank you.
All right, here we go. Now, Drew, Kate, are you ready to run the mic around? That's our favorite part every year, right? Okay, so we're gonna have Lily and Julie and I to come sit on the stage here so we can do the slam. Let's go. I feel like I need to explain the chickens because there are a lot of chickens everywhere. So back in 2018 when Radically Rural got started, excuse me, chickens, when Radically Rural got started, our mascot was Helen the chicken, a real live chicken. She's now deceased, rest in peace. But she lives on through the Douglas Cuddle Toy chicken stuffies that have been donated to us by Douglas Cuddle Toys. And Eileen is particularly fond of the chickens, our star volunteer. So they are everywhere, and we love it. And if you didn't notice, I was wearing chicken earrings yesterday with sparkly pink boots. And Leanne, are you here, Leanne? Oh, yeah. She had the sparkly pink boots on to match, so excellent job. Okay, so here, famous notebook comes out. Here is how the slam is going to work, okay? We are going to put the prompts on the screen, and when we call your name, Drew Kate will run the mic to you in your seat, and you will have exactly 60 seconds to pitch your idea to us or initiative. And Julie is going to be keeping time. When you get to 10 seconds, she's going to hold up her hands and count down from 10. But oftentimes, the pitchers will be looking at you, and so they can't see her. So when she holds up her hands and counts down from 10, I need you guys to hold up your hands and count down as well, okay? And then, if anyone goes past that, we're going to make all sorts of weird noises until they stop. All right, let's see. Is there anything else I need to say? And we're going to keep it going quickly. We have 12. We have 12. All right, let's do it. Who's the first one?
Morgan Baum from Minnesota.
All right, Morgan. Yeah. All right, Drew Kate, hand it to her. There we go. All right, go.
Minnesota is the only state with arts funding in our Constitution. A portion of sales tax funds are collected and distributed across the state through regional arts councils. Nonprofits, individuals, local governments, students can apply. In our small rural community, we've used those funds to start a sculpture stroll, an art center, a music festival, a community mural project, and more, including the Minnesota Pottery Festival, which I run. It's held each July. We started in 2012 with 14 potters, and this year we had 39 from 11 states. The 2-day event resulted in $160,000 in direct revenue to the artists. Together, the arts funds flow into our town of 15,000 people and are result in $2 million for the local economy.
Amazing, you did it. Did she not set the stage for us? Oh my goodness, amazing work. I also want to say thank you for doing it, because apparently she was somewhat coerced into it by Megan, who is very convincing. So thank you for doing that. Wonderful. All right, who do we have next?
Stephanie Keene from Virginia.
Hi, I don't have any notes, sorry. Am I ready?
Oh, sorry. I was just like so ready. Yes, okay. Go.
Okay, so my name is Stephanie Keene. I'm the director for the Center for Entrepreneurship that serves a region in Central Virginia around Lynchburg. We do some amazing entrepreneurship training programs in our community through co-starters, through some other things that we design like Launch LYH. And one of the big gaps that we see in our rural communities is for services to hospitals, and not just specific services that are healthcare focused, like ambulance and other specific hospital services, but also things like vendors. They struggle to get linens on time and food to the hospitals, things like that. So we'd like to run a program that is specifically for entrepreneurs who are in sectors that can serve hospitals, leaving our hospitals to do the work of healthcare better.
Amazing. Great job, Stephanie. Thank you so much. Who do we have next?
We have Jody Rollins, newly from New Hampshire.
So while the mic is making its way to Jody, so Drew Kate, she's right down here. While the mic is making the way to her, I see Bernadette in the audience. Good morning. We had a great session yesterday. It was the Ordinary People Extraordinary Work session. And what I really liked about that session is there was some great storytelling, and then we had like an hour or something just to workshop issues that we were having in our communities. and I loved the ideas that were coming from everywhere. And I want to see more of that at future summits for us to just have time to actually work on things together. All right. Are you ready, Jody?
As I'll ever be.
All right. Go.
So I want you to picture a farmer in your mind, just for a second. A farmer. What does a farmer look like in your mind? A black female, right? No. Well, I'll tell you why that's important in just a second. So 14 years ago, I moved to a rural county in Southern California from Los Angeles. And it was shocking, major culture shock. I felt disconnected, I felt isolated, I felt alone. I'm creative, outspoken, and this was a nuts and bolts border patrol, farmers, serious kind of place. I didn't know what to do. My mental health started to really decline. It took its toll. I wiped my tears, I started a business, and I happened to be married to a farmer. I started an agricultural expo. I was the only black female in the history of the county to ever work in agriculture. It made money for farmers, it connected purveyors with business people, and the point of it all was there are solutions in our passion. When you decide what works for you, you can affect other people through connectivity, through passion, through focus. So when you picture a farmer, please picture me. Thank you.
I just got goosebumps. That was awesome. Excellent. Down to the second. Yes, honey. All right. Okay. Who's next?
Veronica Sokol from New Hampshire.
All right. And Veronica, if Drew Kate would request that folks make it very obvious where they are. So she's right over there, the one in the crown. Can't miss her. While we're waiting for the mic to get there and for that to get settled in, I wanted to give a shout out to the Daily Yonder. We don't have any people from the Daily Yonder here with us, but we do have someone from Center for Rural Strategies, and so I just wanted to give them a shout out because how many of you read the Daily Yonder? Yes. Best source for rural news. Love it so much. So very happy to have you here with us. All right, are you ready? Go.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Veronica Sokol. I am a student and assistant librarian and Miss Liberty through the Miss New Hampshire Scholarship Program. I'm here for a few reasons: to make sustainability more accessible in our communities, to get more rural youth and adolescents involved in service, and to inspire people to use their voices for positive change. Through my initiative, Inspiring Through Action, I bring my personal experiences to the table, inviting others, regardless of age or experience, to consider the impact that they have on the world around them. My eco-friendly pledge program, which incentivizes environmentally conscious actions, has already received interest from more than 10 states and 3 countries. I foresee this project expanding in the near future with a goal of reaching individuals in every state across America by the time I compete for the job of Miss New Hampshire in May. Thank you so much.
That was amazing. Good job. Awesome. Okay, who do we have next?
Phil Barnett from Kentucky.
So it sounds like we got some Kentucky fans here. So while we let Phil get settled in for a second, I also wanted to mention when Gil and I were chatting this morning, he was talking about attending the Audacity of Joy session yesterday. And I was like, what did you take away from it? Why did you go? Because in roofing, do you think about, joy? And so he said, roofing can be a really rough industry, and I just wanted to figure out how I could bring some joy into the industry. And I loved that so very much. I think we could all bring some joy into the work we do. Are you ready, Phil? You were born ready. Are you ready? All right, let's go.
Hi, everybody. I'm Phil. I work for a nonprofit called Like and Knowledge. We are based in Central Appalachia, and we focus on a holistic approach to improving local livelihoods by creating trustworthy collaborations in these communities and creating pathways for people to share knowledge and resources. We work with rural communities and individuals to turn local challenges and underutilized local resources into assets and income for local families. Our approach covers everything from improving water quality and access to creating open channels of communication between experts and officials and the people who need their knowledge. One of the key solutions I want to highlight is our approach to fixing the problem of heirs property. In Kentucky and many other states, if you don't have a will when you die, your property goes into heirship, which means it's kind of collectively owned by a large group of people, and it's very difficult to get it out of that. And it can be easily taken by corporations. So we create a pathway to take people from clouded titles to clear titles to income for their families.
Awesome, good job. Love that. That's such a practical thing. I love that so very much. Good job. All right, who do we have next?
Sarah Harpster from New Hampshire.
All right, so while we're letting Sarah get settled in for a second, we were also chatting this morning about the book, The Power of Moments, and I haven't read it, but we were talking about how moments really make up the fabric of the world. So I'm curious, I want to hear a couple people shout out some of their favorite moments from yesterday. Anything. Yes, if you were in Bernadette's session, you had to be there for the plaque them thing. Like, I put it on the wall in the app, but like, you had to be there. It was awesome. Okay, what else? Keynote, yeah. What did you say about apples? The pickled apples. Yeah, that was wild. The pickle bar was great. Anyone else? Wait, say it again. Yes, singing along with Guy. What else? Yes, that was amazing. Yeah, anything else? Playing volleyball with cool kids. Excellent. Awesome. Well, we'll maybe share some of our other favorite moments in a minute, but I'm going to let Sarah go ahead and get going. So here we go.
So my name is Sarah. I'm from right here in Keene. And this is reviving a seed that's from a while ago. But the issue is that our rural communities need to set up food systems that serve us. And we need infrastructure for that. Right here in Keene, we could have a campus that addresses needs for Meals on Wheels food, for collecting food that's going to waste, processing that food, incubating businesses, getting new workforce development in those spaces. A campus that could address these needs would complement other food security infrastructure around the community. And this region could be a beacon community for food security for all people.
Amazing. Wonderful. All right, who's next?
Jessica Limbard from Tennessee.
All right, so while we're waiting for her to get settled in, how many of you are working on food systems in your states, in your particular towns? Yeah. It's hard work, isn't it? It's rewarding and it's necessary, but it's hard work. I hear, yes. Yeah, hard work. Awesome. All right, are you ready?
I am.
Here we go.
Awesome. Hi, my name is Jess Limbard. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns. I live in the South, specifically rural Tennessee. The land is beautiful and our history complex. In Marshall County, we are gathering and building trust. Yes, front porch style, but also stretching the edges of our rural southern social fabric. I'm the chairperson for the Marshall County Dems, which is one of the most progressive gathering and organizing spaces in our county. Together, we've had a lot of solid wins. We ignited a call to action that gathered nearly 200 community members to demand local government to reinstate our city manager who was unjustly terminated. We used that opportunity to talk about the role of racism in a public forum and as a community. We've partnered with Free Hearts based in Nashville to support local residents who lost their voting rights due to felony convictions and get their rights restored with free legal aid. We are providing hope and home to those hungry for change in Marshall County. We're at a place where to build our base and grow beyond the confines of the party. We need to gather in purposeful community dialogue, and how we do this is as important as the act itself. Truly, how we do this work is by doing less and being more together.
Amazing.
Y'all.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you.
Rachel Hellman from Vermont.
We have a great diversity of states represented in this slam. All right, let's get it. While they're getting settled, why don't we shout out a couple more favorite moments? Anyone else have a favorite moment? Karaoke. How many people went to karaoke last night? Oh my goodness, I am so jealous. That sounds like so much fun. Good. All right, one more moment before we get started. Oh, Springfield College what? Yeah, awesome. Very cool. All right. Yeah. I would really like to share something she said last night, but I need her permission if I'm going to do that. Okay. All right. We are ready for you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel. I'm a reporter in Burlington, Vermont, but I'm also a member of Seed Song Collective Garden, which is not a community garden. We're 20 working class people using 5,000 square feet of agricultural land, like a small farm or market garden, and tending the land together and growing plants together. It's kind of like holding a note in a chorus, where we're all able to take a breath, but we emerge with enough food to last me through 6 months. It's magical. It's taught me more about being in community than anything else. It's intergenerational, and it's climate resilient. We use land really effectively, much more effectively than just a bunch of box plots. And I know my neighbors really well. We've expanded the model. We have a few different collective gardens in Vermont, and they've been really successful. But our core garden, Seed Song, has been flooded twice. We're in a floodplain. You've probably read about the flooding that's hit Vermont, and we're really reaching a point where we need new land that's higher up. So I'm asking for your help so that my garden can keep on growing food and creating community.
Love that. Thank you so much.
All right, another Vermonter, Nikki Cadillac.
All right, where's Nikki? There we go. Drew Kate, she's right there. Yeah, this year I went to the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont when it was flooded and helped with some of the cleanup. And it was just really interesting hearing how that one of the jobs we did was to basically rip up everything from a garden, which was really hard to do, just to pile a bunch of food on a waste pile to be picked up, but it was contaminated at that point because of the flooding. So yeah, a lot of work with disaster prevention and recovery to do. All right, let's go. We're ready for you.
Hello, Nikki Cadillac from Burlington Buzz in Burlington, Massachusetts. Sorry to disappoint. The society has conditioned us to believe that local government is not important, that the only thing that matters is what's happening at the national level, and that just increases divides and division and fighting and disconnect in your communities. So enter the Civic Expo that we launched last year in January. This is a room full of all of the town departments, the municipal bodies that govern your community, that affect your quality of life on a daily basis. Everybody gets together at one time. We provide food, we provide babysitting, all community volunteers donated by the businesses in the community, and let your residents come and meet the people who are working for them on a day-to-day basis in a non-threatening environment so they can just get to know each other and build connections.
Wonderful. That was great. Thank you.
Michael Goodry from Mississippi.
All right, there he is, right over there, Drew Kate. All right, so any more favorite moments that we want to share? The crushed canned tacos, yes. So if you weren't there, the cans were kind of crushed and used like this for the tacos to be placed in. That actually started, great path choice. That actually started at our Connect event in 2022. We highlighted circular economy, which is kind of where you are keeping materials within kind of I'm not doing a good job of explaining it, like in one footprint basically, so that they can continually be reused and circulated. And so we were kind of having the whole thing be zero waste, which we always aim for, but that year was a particular focus on that. So those were brought back last night, which I was very happy about. All right, we are ready for you.
All right. Hello, I'm Michael Guidry. I'm the managing editor at Mississippi Today, and I'm a Southerner. And for a long time, I didn't like that label because too often it evoked images of things like the Confederate flag or associations to characters like the Duke Boys, who I did not relate to whatsoever. And when I say I'm a Southerner, I'm a real Southerner, raised in Louisiana, I'm adulting in Mississippi. And when you're steeped in that for as long as I've been, you begin to understand that there are a set of given circumstances that inform and shape Southern life. And then you hit a crossroads. Do you embrace them? Do you ignore them? Or do you question them? Through audio narrative, I want to find my peers, those Southerners who have chosen that path of questioning, and elevate their voices, because it has to be us. Casting aside outside voices is as Southern as sweet tea. We don't want to hear anything from them, but there are challenges to our given circumstances that can't be ignored. Our voices are paramount to addressing them if we want to reverse trends of disparity and inequality, and it's good and necessary to be skeptically Southern.
All right, we have two more. So next up is Rihanna Botcher from Springfield College.
Awesome. While we're waiting for that, Michael reached out to me through the app and messaged and was asking about our process for getting the screening of Join or Die, because he might want to get that in his own community. And that's what I love about Radically Rural is, you know, we get these ideas and we're like, this would be really good for us too. And that's why we do the slam as well. So I love that. And I've also gotten some really good ideas from other folks who have emailed me and said, I know you can't think about this right now, but next year, can we do this? Can we use this platform for this? And one of those is a whole arts gathering that someone wants to do the day before the summit. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. That is what this is for. We do a lot of hard work to create this platform, this container, this garden bed, whatever you want to call it. And why recreate that? We're already doing the hard work. You bring what you need to the table and we'll help you do it. And I love that, the co-creation together. So let's keep doing that. All right, we're ready for you.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Rihanna from Springfield College, and at Springfield we founded our active chapter of the Food Recovery Network based on a model that we'd seen some really lovely retired women from my previous town who'd been recovering all this surplus food from local supermarkets and Panera Bread and local locations individually, like repackaging it. And then twice a week, we had 75 seniors who were food insecure come through and be able to fill 2 grocery bags to get them through the week and hopefully keep their heat on longer in the winter. So we're taking that model to Springfield. We've got a group of volunteers, and we're able to recover that extra food from our dining hall and individually package it for our pantry on campus and for local community members with our partners at Rachel's Table. But I guess looking to the future, I'm always looking for ideas on how we can continue that beyond my time at Springfield College, hopefully, but also how to bring that into a rural community where the transportation between locations is obviously a little bit more challenging, and also in my new hometown where, for instance, we might not have the volunteer network that we have now. So always looking for new ideas. If anyone has them to share, I'd be really receptive to hearing those. So thank you.
That was amazing. Good job. Excellent job.
Alrighty, last but not least, Simone Elder from Kansas.
All right. And Simone will be on the young people session today too. So we're very excited. There's a lot of momentum around that session. We're thrilled. All right, Simone, we're ready for you.
All right. Simone Elder, Kansas Sampler Foundation. Have you ever been to a conference and said, man, that sounds really cool, and I wish I could go see that in person or learn exactly how they did that? In Kansas, we have that happen all the time. We connect people all across the state through our grassroots network. And so about 5-6 years ago, we started what are called duologues. And so a duologue is a dialogue, but with community action. And so we have one coming up, for example, about language exchange. We have a community emporia that's going to bring together people to show them, hey, you want to be more welcoming and inclusive, why don't you learn how to say, hola, ¿cómo estás? Instead of just kind of shrug and nod and point to people who might have a language barrier. We've had conversations about issues from how do you start a mural movement? How do you build trails in your community? Oh, I better go fast. And how do you build rural swagger? And so we continue to bring people together through these things called duologues.
I feel like we've had some really good phrases come out of this year's summit, and rural swagger has to be one of them. Oh my gosh. We also had another one that just captured my heart, which was when we were talking about the monarch migration analogy yesterday. Someone in an eco gathering leading up to Radically Rural, I had said that I was going to use that analogy that I had heard at the summit that I went to, the Northern New England Rural Summit. And they were like, you know, I really just feel like a mid-level monarch right now. I was like, yeah, we're all mid-level right now, aren't we? So that was great. You know what? First time in Radically Rural history, we are early. So we could actually, Lillian can add a couple more to the voting form. If there's anyone else who didn't prepare but would like to share an idea that they have or an initiative that they have. Anyone? Oh, we've got one right over there. Okay, Drew Kate, we got a hand right down there. Can you see it? Okay, excellent. And while we're waiting for Drew Kate to make her way there, any other favorite moments you want to share? Hayride. Anything else? Apparently, Brenda Lee, who runs the events at Allison's Orchard and is also my neighbor in Westmoreland, was giving Drew Kate Shirley Temples last night. And she came up to me and she said, I just want to apologize in advance. I was like, Brenda Lee? All right, we're ready for you.
Good morning. Vitaly Brookman, Keene, New Hampshire, a brewer, a kombucha brewer from Future Keene Bucha Natural Tonics and Goods Company. This is an idea I would love to see in this town, a place, something like a Maker's Biolab, which is the place that will help people to learn more and to practice fermentation, foods and beverages fermentation. A place where somebody could get a spot for fermenting if they don't have, and or get an advice, and or get samples, or buy foods and beverages that are good for you.
Amazing, thank you so much. Yeah, so shared kitchen space is definitely a need in rural communities because not everyone can have that infrastructure all on their own when they're just getting started.
Yep.
Okay, so Drew Kate, Helen Joy has her hand up too if you want to. Where are you, baby? Oh, there you are. Okay. A favorite moment. Someone shout out a favorite moment. Yes, being in a room full of other rural leaders. Awesome. All right, Helen Joy.
Okay. 8 years ago, I was hospitalized for mental health reasons and quickly figured out that the mental health system was lacking pretty badly. When I was hospitalized with nothing to do and no classes and no anything, there was 3 books. One was a thick autobiography of Tom Cruise in German, and 2 children's books about the 1980 Olympics. And so I read all of them. And basically, I decided that I wasn't going to wait for the government to provide good reading material for the psych wards locally. And so the next year, in an act of redemption, I started a local book drive, which people read books and they're good, but then they sit on shelves. And my local area loves doing the book drive, so this will be the 9th year. And we deliver to 5 psych wards, and it's pretty much free. And people love giving their hopeful books.
That was awesome. Anyone else? Oh, we've got a hand. We've got a hand. There we go, Marty. All right, Drew Kate, so all the way down this. She's getting her steps in. Do you see her standing up, honey? Okay. Awesome. Drew Kate, while you're delivering the mic, are you okay with me sharing the comment you made in the car yesterday? It's okay if the answer is no.
She said, fine, okay.
Okay. So yesterday on the way back from Connect, she said, Mom, it's hard just having so many fans. All right, Marty, we're ready.
Okay, Marty Fisk. I'm the local library director. For those of you who've been attending programs in Cohen and Heberton Hall, that's our library. So I wasn't prepared for this, so I don't have the statistics to back me up. But I wanted to share with you a really successful program that we had that was started through the impetus of a group called Monadnock Outdoors and Monadnock Healthy Alliance. Last year, we had a group who came to us and said that they had discovered that there were a lot of people who wanted to be outdoors and they wanted to encourage the use of trails and other advantages of being outdoors for making people healthy, both physically and mentally. They did a survey and they discovered the sorts of equipment that people most needed to be able to access outdoors, and they came to us and asked us to be the purveyor. So we now have over 88 pieces of equipment for camping, snowshoeing, hiking, and a number of other places.
Awesome. Okay, we have time for probably 2 or 3 more. Does anyone else want to share? Oh, we got someone over there. Okay. Is that Jeff? Okay. All right, Drew Kate. Jeff is all the way over here where I'm pointing. When we went to Hood River, Hood River, Oregon this year, when we did our Radically Rural on the road trip, they had a library of things, which I know is starting to become more common in libraries to have, like, you know, technology and tools and cleaning supplies and things that you can rent out. And I feel like that is an essential component of our communities moving forward. And what I love about libraries is that they innovate and they pivot and they meet the needs of their communities. And I've heard of some really incredible things that libraries are doing. I read an article a few years ago about how they were a spot where people could pick up their prescriptions. And so I've been kind of thinking in my mind that we should do a session next year on libraries. What do you guys think? Yeah. All right. Amazing. All right, Jeff, we're ready for you.
All right, I'm Jeff Kirshner, and I run a fairly large regional arts center in Lynchburg, Virginia. But I took a sabbatical a while back, and I went to my hometown, Amherst, Virginia, about 2,000 population, and I facilitated a strategic plan for them. But when I did that, I realized there were very few online resources for small community arts delivery. A lot of the major think tanks are in major markets. So a couple years ago, I formed Small Town Big Arts. I interview arts leaders every month. I've been collecting information, been working a little bit with SMU Data Arts to supply a resource for those in smaller communities to learn successful stories, tools, initiatives that you can use in your small communities, and it's smalltownbigarts.com. There's also a monthly podcast, too, that you can follow and find on most major sources.
Awesome. All right, and while Eric's getting settled, I'm just gonna say that I think one of the coolest success stories or impact stories that I've heard about Radically Rural was last year when Jeff was here. He got really, like, what's the word, fixated on the Brewbakers, Nova Arts, Terra Nova, Wackadoodles, Arts Alive combo of all of those things that had to come together to create that space, which is where we're gonna be tonight during our after party. And he actually just like a month ago or something launched a similar space in Virginia after interviewing them, getting to know how they did what they did. He did a podcast about it, and then he opened a similar space where they are. So that is a huge success. Amazing work. We're ready for you.
All right. How many of you have started how many of you have started a rural small business? Okay, how many of you, keep your hands up, how many of you have worked at a rural small business? How many of you shop at a rural small business? Now, given all these hands, you would think that there would be a lot of academic research on rural small businesses. Is there? No. How do I know? I am one of those professors who should be doing more rural small business research. And along the way, I've met many professors across the country who are really interested in publishing more, researching more, understanding more about why businesses thrive as opposed to struggle in small towns and rural spaces. And as a result, I created an annual conference on rural entrepreneurship. This year, it was in June in Vermont. Next year, it's in Iowa. The summer after that, it's in Western Colorado. The year after that, it's going to be in Texas. Juliana was one of our guest speakers this June up in Burlington, Vermont. So if you're interested to contribute to this movement, or if you know university professors or college professors who are doing work in this area, please connect them with me. Thank you.
Great work. All right, we have time for one more. Who's going to be the lucky one? I see a hand right there. One more. Here we go. And while we wait, I'm just going to call Terry out. Terry, retirement life. You just strolling in late? Come on. I'm just messing with you. Terry Williams, previous president of the Keene Sentinel, and next to current, Sean. All right, we're ready for you.
Hi, so I'm Nicole Forsyth. I'm the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club of Sauhegan Valley. And my 16-year-old daughter last night, who has been someone who has suffered from anxiety and mental health disorders and has some trauma background, last night said to me, I want to do more to get out of my comfort zone. So I thought, if she can do it, and I'm completely unprepared, then sure, I can do this too. So at the Boys and Girls Club, we have a great model for rural. There are a lot of clubs that are rural, and we have a great model for getting youth to do that very thing, get out of their comfort zone, try things, explore careers, maybe do rock climbing, do something at the club that they've never had the chance to do before, whether they couldn't afford to or whether they didn't feel safe doing so. And so at our club, we're looking for mentors, so adults who want to work with youth to help them get out of their comfort zone. So see me if you want to help support this program. Thank you.
Amazing, thank you. Amazing job to everyone for getting out of their comfort zone. Even the folks that had a little bit of time to prepare, it wasn't that much time. And I'm just grateful to all of you for putting yourselves out there, because these are the sorts of ideas and connections that matter the most when we leave here. So go ahead and scan that QR code, and with your phones, if you don't know how to do that, you just open the camera and kind of hover over it, and then there'll be a little link that pops up, and you can fill it in and vote for your favorite idea, and we'll give you 2 minutes to do that. After those 2 minutes, I will introduce our keynote speaker, Marc, and then we will hear what he has to say. The glorious conclusion. All right, it is my pleasure to welcome Marc Brackett, the founding, do I need to do this? There we go. The founding director of the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, a professor in the Child Study Center at Yale University, and an author of the best-selling book, Permission to Feel. As an award-winning researcher for 25 years, Marc has raised over $100 million in grant funding and published 175 scholarly articles on the role of emotional intelligence in learning, decision-making, creativity, relationships, physical and mental health, and workplace performance. Marc is the lead developer of Ruler, an evidence-based approach to social and emotional learning that has been adopted by over 5,000 schools across the globe, improving the lives of millions of children and adults. There's lots more to his bio, so check it out in the app, but I did want to add one key detail which rose above the rest. He holds a 5th degree black belt in a form of Korean martial arts. So, watch out for Marc. All right, welcome, Marc. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Gosh, good morning, everybody. I'm kind of intimidated by all of you. I moved to the countryside of Connecticut during the pandemic because that's what people did, and gave up my house in New Haven, Connecticut by the university, and now I live on 25 acres, and the other day, a bobcat walked by my bedroom window, and I'm like, we're out of here. So if anybody wants to buy my house in Connecticut, it is now for sale. No, I'm just kidding. But I did think, like, I have 2 little dogs. I'm like, they're dead. Like, so anyway, I'm adjusting to the country living. Now, I've only got about 30 minutes with all of you, and I thought I would just kind of give you a little bit of a journey of this work that I've been doing for about 25 years on emotion. So probably what I should do is start off with a simple but maybe complex question, which is, how are you feeling? Can you all hear me on this? Yeah, great. So this may look like I'm bringing you back to kindergarten, but it is not kindergarten at all. It's pretty complex science, actually. So all of you woke up this morning, am I right? Right. How many of you are awake? All right. So every time we wake up, we make predictions, whether we're conscious or not, of how our day is going to go. Think about that. You just think, today is going to be the best day of my life. Or, I want to pull the covers over my head and go back to bed, or disappear. So this little tool we call the mood meter helps us out. -5, this is on the x-axis, which we call pleasantness. You're all thinking to yourself, this is going to be the worst presentation of the conference. You know, I don't even like Marc already, you know. He doesn't fit in with us up here. It's possible that you're thinking that. If you do, I dislike you a lot. But that might be where you're at, -5. -3 is kind of like everyday misery, right? I could be here, I could be at work, I could be with my family, it's all the same. You could be 0. I call that Connecticut. It's kind of like, just like this land of neutral emotion. It's the weirdest thing. You could be +3 in pleasantness. Oh my goodness. 30 minutes talking about emotions. What could be better than that? Or you could be a +5 and you're looking at me and saying, oh my gosh, I don't know, I don't have words. I think I want Marc to move in. Like, I could wake up every morning and have someone to finally talk to about my feelings. So where are you right now? -5 to +5. All right, I didn't ask you to yell it out loud. People are impulsive up here. Very good. Now, on the y-axis, it says the word energy. Sounds like we've got a lot of energy in the room. So -5, your energy is really low. +5, you got so much energy you can't contain yourself. So, what's your energy like right now? Nobody's going to say a word. Just in your mind, like, think about it. What does your body feel like right now? Do you feel energized or do you feel depleted? And of course, we cross our 2 axes to create our mood meter. Now, how many of you are somewhere in the yellow today? High energy and pleasant. Raise your hands. Well, a lot of people. Green, you're pleasant, but your energy is kind of low. Anyone in the blue or red today? A little bit? But very few people. Now, let's think about this for a minute. Think about the world that we're living in right now. No one in this room is feeling the least bit sad or lonely or a little irritable or a little overwhelmed or anxious. So that tells us something, doesn't it? About maybe our discomfort with being open and honest about how we feel. But I'm not going to judge anybody up here. Now, we can't run around the world talking like this. I'm in the yellow. Like, people are going to think you're crazy. So we need language. I'm going to ask you all right now, in the next 3 seconds, to find the best word to describe how you're feeling right here, right now. You got 3 seconds. Freeze. Let me get an honest raise of hands. How many of you had a little difficulty finding the precise word? Hands up. Really high. Like, stretch it out. Please hold your hand up. Do not put it down. Look around the room. So a large percentage of us, right, a simple question like, how are you feeling? Ask me how I'm feeling. Fine. And that's what we do, right? It's kind of like we just say, fine, and we move on. Usually when we ask someone how they're feeling, we kind of walk by them before they even give us a response, right? Hey, good morning, how you feeling? You know, and you don't even wait for the response. Now, what if I were to say, ask me again? Honestly, I got here very late last night. It was raining. The driver was like this. And then I went to bed in this bed and breakfast that was very cute. I saw somebody there this morning. And, you know, the coffee was a little bitter. And I have a little acid. And then I was eating while I was walking, which I hate to do. I was like, my yogurt to get here. And then I went for another cup of coffee. I'm kind of dehydrated now. And so I have like, I don't know. And then I got to get on a plane later on today, and I'm like not in the mood to go there where I have to go. And she's just like, can't wait for his presentation to be over. But let's be real. How many of us on a daily basis have like a complicated emotional life? Anybody willing to admit that? It's like a roller coaster ride in our heads every day. You wake up and I'm in a good mood, and I'm in a bad mood, then you have a phone call like, ugh, and then you're this, and then you're that. It's crazy. So we have to get granular about our feelings. We have to know how we're feeling. But we also got to know what to do with those feelings. Because has anyone ever been around someone who didn't do well or know how to deal with their emotions? How many of you just think like someone who's very dysregulated? Anyone ever work with someone like that? Or live with someone like that? Right? And when you think about that, how many say, gosh, I just want to be with that person forever? No, it's difficult. It really is difficult. I'm having a flashback, actually, because I lived in New Hampshire years ago. And I lived in this very cute little town on the East Coast. And I loved it. I absolutely just loved it. And there was a cute little bakery with this great little coffee shop. And I like coffee shops with great scones. And I had a relative come visit me here. And I had come from New York City. And I was thinking to myself, there's no way I'm going back to that rat hole. Like, I just love it here. People, I wake up in the morning, I go for coffee, and good morning. And then I say, can I have a refill? Definitely. I'm like, definitely? Like, I got eye contact. Someone cares. And so this relative of mine came up to visit. And she's fine. And we're sitting in this coffee shop, and I'm like, I don't know if I could ever, ever, ever go back to living the way I lived. People are just, the coffee is wonderful, the people are kind. And this person looks at me, she goes, it's nice here. There's an underlying anger. Right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at it. You know, like, people are really nice here. So, I don't know why I told you that story, but I think people are nice here. Now, my question for you really is, what are you going to do with your feelings today? So how many of you will get distracted during my presentation? Be honest. How many of you are going to like wander? Well, you're going to just get a little, you know, you're going to look at your phones. You're going to want to text somebody. You're going to want to check social media. You're going to want to know what's next. You're going to want to think about something else. And so my question for you really is, what's your strategy? What is your emotion regulation strategy to be present? Everybody's talking about that these days. It's amazing, that word presence. I was just in San Francisco giving a speech. Unbelievable. Everybody is present. It's the weirdest thing. What is your strategy? I'm going to breathe. Okay, good. We all do that. Or the other one was just like, I'm going to just pay attention. I'm going to watch you. I'm like, okay, that's a little weird. But seriously, what's your strategy? Who has a good strategy? Anybody? You're going to drink some water. Thank you. You're going to relax, stretch. Don't touch the phone. Someone's going to take a walk during my talk. Like, I'm out of here. I mean, you can do that later, but I want to know, like, here, what's your strategy? Try not to judge yourself for whatever happened. Just let it go. Any other strategies? Someone's going to take some notes. Gratitude. Adjust your posture. That's it. How many of you, just for curiosity, how many of you, anybody here have children? Just for curiosity, okay? Does anyone remember, like, in the middle of the pandemic when their kids were, like, a little difficult? Anyone have that moment where your kid's like, I can't take it anymore, I hate everything? And you just said to your kid, honey, take a sip of water. Honey, just adjust your seat. Honey, just take some notes because I'm going to give you some feedback, right? It's hard, right, to deal with our emotions. I don't know about you, but I've struggled with it my whole life. We've talked about mental health and anxiety and many other things. I've struggled with all these things my whole life. And what I really want to talk to you about today is, what do we do about it? Do we judge it? Do we not judge it? And how do we move forward? So there's a cheat sheet for this, which is, it's called the mood meter, which I share with you, but this is the one that's filled in. This is just the inside cover of my book. And then also, I had a very fortunate thing happen during the pandemic, which was that the co-founder and CEO of the company Pinterest read my book, and he reached out to me and said, can we make an app out of the core features of your book, and we'll pay for it, and we'll give it away for free forever. I was like, I love you. And so please check it out. It's a way to check in with your feelings, to kind of track your feelings across time and day, across what you're doing and who you're with. And then it gives you an analysis to let you know, like, what quadrant are you in, with whom, or with what you're doing. And it's quite insightful. Now, here's the challenge. All of you are the radically different people from everybody else in the world, because you all said you're in the yellow and the green. In my research, what I find is that a lot of people are in the red and blue. For example, in my research with over 45,000 high school students, what I found is that the top 3 emotions they feel each day are tired, bored, and stressed. And they feel those emotions about 77% of the time that they're in school. In my work, in the workplace, the #1 emotion right now is frustration. It seems like America is just darn out frustrated. Now, when I ask people how they want to feel, nobody says, I want to be tired, bored, stressed, overwhelmed, frustrated, depressed, and angry. People say other things. They say things like, I want to be excited, I want to feel some joy, I want to have appreciation, I want to feel fulfilled and calm and satisfied. So my big research question is, how do we close the gap or bridge the gap? And here we go. Now, you might wonder, why does this matter? And as a matter of fact, our field right now has been it's been, believe it or not, controversial. People are making the work that I do political. They're saying things like, this is, other things that are not what it is. Now, what I'm here to tell you is that how you feel, whether you're conscious of it or not, is driving almost everything about your life. It's driving your attention. Think about it. If you're bored with my presentation right now, which was really unfortunate, but if you are, it's not that you're a bad person or that boredom is bad. It means that I'm not doing my job as your presenter to pull you into this work. I'm not engaging you in a way, or you're not seeing its relevance and meaningfulness to you. Emotions drive our decision making. Has anyone here ever made a bad decision? Should we pass the mic around to share that? Or we've all made bad choices, right? But we like to think we're rational creatures. My research shows that how we feel influences almost every choice we make. Whether or not we go for that walk, whether or not we get up out of bed, whether or not we're kind to the person that's in front of us. The third is relationships. Emotions are signals. They tell us to approach or avoid. So if I got up here like maybe one of my colleagues at my university and stood like this, how many of you are thinking like, I'm out of here? It's amazing. I can control your behavior by just moving my right nostril. I mean, that's powerful. Look at that. Watch. Isn't it amazing? Just lifting my right nostril changes your perceptions and your motivation. I think that's amazing to me. The fourth is our physical and mental health, which I've shared a little bit about. The fifth is our performance. Now, my hunch, I'm listening to your story about moving out of LA, going to the countryside of wherever that is in California, and doing your work, and like some pushback, maybe not a lot of support, maybe a lot of people trying to not believe that you might be able to do this for whatever reasons, or conscious or unconscious to them. And in my work, the feelings that we have about our work and the feelings that we get from the people around us can either help us or hurt us. They hurt us when we don't know what to do with them. They help us when we have strategies to deal with them. And I've met some of the smartest people in the world, especially working at the university where I work, who don't achieve their dreams. It's not because they're not smart. It's because they can't deal with life. They can't deal with harsh feedback. They can't deal with the anxiety, the stress, the fear, the overwhelm that's associated with the dreams that they have. Because it's not an easy road. I've done presentations like this, and I had someone raise their hand. I'll never forget this. I was in England, and this person raised their hand. She goes, "My job is not to talk to my students or family about my feelings." I'm like, does anyone else have a different perspective? And I was like just hopeful there were other people that were interested in the work. But like that's hard to deal with when you're trying to be successful. That's what I have to deal with in my line of work. Each of you has different things you have to deal with in order to achieve your dreams. So take a nice long inhale and just digest that, please. That emotions matter for everything. Now, the question I've had is how many people learn about this stuff? And my research shows, with all of you, or some of you, that many people do not learn anything about feelings at home. I'll tell you what I learned about emotions growing up in my family. I had a wonderful family. My parents loved me. But my mother had terrible anxiety, unfortunately. And she was having, as they called it back in the 70s, nervous breakdowns all the time. She'd lock herself in a room. And my father was a guy from the Bronx, New York, who was he came in every day. He'd say, "Son, you got to toughen up. Son, you got to toughen up." Now look at me. I mean, let's be real. I am about as far from a tough guy as it gets. And by the way, what is that anyway? Right? That's called toxic masculinity these days, which is a real thing. Now the question is, do you get this stuff in school? Less. So this work, right, it's not permeating into society. There's a fear of teaching it. There's a lack of knowledge of what it is. So I came up with this concept, which I call permission to feel. Now, none of you know me that well, and I share with you a little bit about my life. I'm 55 now, been married for 30 years, happily. I've got a good family. I had two parents who loved me a lot. As I shared, they didn't really know a lot about feelings or how to deal with their own, nevertheless mine. And just to be really blunt with all of you, and I'm just going to share a little bit of my darker history, very sadly I was abused as a child by my parents' best friend. And it went on for 5 years of my childhood. And I had nowhere to go with it. I didn't even tell my own parents for 5 years, which is crazy when I think about it now as an adult who's a psychologist. I didn't tell my parents I was being traumatized. How is that possible? But as I think about it, having a mom who had all these emotional challenges and a father who was a toughen up kind of guy, there was really no opening. They didn't give me permission to feel. But I was also very blessed in life. I had an uncle whose name is Uncle Marvin. And Uncle Marvin was a 6th grade social studies teacher in a rural community in the Catskill Mountains of New York State. And Uncle Marvin had this epiphany that the missing link in education was teaching kids about emotions. And he started writing a curriculum to teach kids how to feel, and language for feelings, and strategies to deal with feelings through history. And Uncle Marvin happened to be living with my family one summer when he was getting his master's degree in counseling. And he stayed with us. And we were sitting in the backyard of my home. And he just looked at me and he goes, "Hey, Mark, how are you feeling? But really, how are you feeling?" In that moment, I decided to share what was going on for me. He didn't say, "I'm going to have a breakdown." He didn't say, "Toughen up." He just looked at me and says, "I got you. I'm here for you. We're going to get through this together." Now, I've wondered my whole career, how many people have an Uncle Marvin or an Aunt Maria, a parent, a teacher, a coach, a neighbor, anyone who creates the conditions for them to be their true selves. And so I've been studying this now for many years, and some of you participated in my research, and I appreciate that. And about 40% of people in our survey here said yes, but 60% said no. That means almost 2/3 of the people in this audience and around our society don't feel they have someone with whom they could be their true selves. Now, I've also wondered, what are the characteristics of these people? And look at that. The top 3 characteristics: non-judgmental, good listener, empathic. I'm going to repeat that. Non-judgmental, good listener, empathic. One more time. Non-judgmental, good listener, empathic. So I'm giving this speech in Chicago, and I did a survey with thousands of families, and they all came to hear me speak. And this mother, she was very impulsive, and she was in the audience. She's like, I've had an epiphany. I'm like, okay. And she goes, I have 2 children, and I'm certain that my daughter has that person. And I'm also now positive that my son doesn't. And you know something, Mark? I am leaving here today, and I'm going to find my son his Uncle Marvin. And I'm like, lady, it could be you. And it was like, it just went past her. It's like, I'm going to get my son his math tutor and the feelings tutor. Right? Like, I'm just going to outsource everything. And it makes you wonder, why is that? Why is that? And I have 2 pieces of research to share with you. And they're both not cool. The first is that people don't think they have the time to be that person. They're so strapped and busy and overwhelmed, they actually don't believe that they have the time. And I'm like, I say, you don't have the time to be non-judgmental? Like, can you explain that one to me? You know, from a biological metabolic standpoint, it's a lot more effortful to be judgmental. You're wasting a lot more of your body's energy walking around judging people. It's a lot more freer for your body to just be open and non-judgmental. But putting that aside, the second is really interesting to me. It's fear. Parents and other people tell me they're afraid to ask people how they feel because they know it's probably not going to be happy and joyful all the time. And when it's sad or down or disappointed or whatever it might be, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to support. Now, I want you to take a look at these characteristics because nowhere in this wordle is problem solver or fixer or solution finder. We don't want to be around people who are telling us what to do or people to tell us exactly how to handle our situations or fix us or even give us the solutions to our problems. What we want to be around are people who don't judge us, who just listen and literally show they care. Please adjust that for a minute. Now, I was giving another speech, and I brought a good friend of mine with me. And after the speech, he was so depressed. I'm like, why are you depressed? He's like, I didn't have an Uncle Marvin. And now I know why I'm not achieving my dreams in my life. I'm like, oh, shit. That was not my intention. You know, I want this to be hopeful. And I want it to be hopeful because it's never too early and it's never too late. And especially, it's never too early and never too late to be your own Uncle Marvin. We've got to start with ourselves. Right? Why can't we be non-judgmental about our own selves? Why can't we listen to ourselves more carefully? Why can't we show ourselves some self-compassion and empathy? So please don't think that, oh my gosh, I didn't have that person. doesn't mean it's doomsday. It just means that we just have to put more effort into being that person for ourselves and others. Something else happened to me that was pretty remarkable too. So I was giving a speech in another area of New York State, down in Westchester, New York. And this teacher, he was a superintendent of schools, jumped up out of his seat. He's like, "Are you talking about Marvin Moore, the 6th grade social studies teacher from Monticello, New York?" I said, "I am." He's like, "Mark, you're not going to believe this, but your Uncle Marvin was my Uncle Marvin." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Your uncle was my 6th grade social studies teacher 45 years ago, and he transformed my life." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "First, I got to finish my speech, but like, can you stay after and I can like interview you?" So I interviewed him, which was remarkable, the things that he remembered. It blew my mind. Like, I remember your uncle's twinkle in his eyes. I remember his facial expressions. I remember how he welcomed us into the classroom and how he created these conditions for learning. And so it was a great interview. And then at the end of the interview, he looked at me and he goes, "It's clear that your uncle had a profound influence on your development. Everything, my mental health and my career." And so he looks at me and he goes, "So I'm curious, Mark, for whom are you and Uncle Marvin?" I'm like, "I'm a scientist. I don't even like people, Like, I just want to do the research and share it with other people. I don't want to live it. That's work. That's hard." But it was really eye-opening to me about, do we pay it forward? Who are the people that we are becoming? What are the conditions that we're creating for the people that are in our surroundings? Please take a nice deep breath on that one, if you don't mind. Just digest that. And I got to check the time because I never stay on time. Oh, good. I got 6 minutes. It's going to be the best 6 minutes of my life. So you might wonder, does it matter? And what my research shows is it does, that people who have these kinds of people have better skills and emotional intelligence. Take a look at that middle. Better sleep, better mental health, better physical health. Having someone in your life that creates those conditions impacts your physical and your mental health. And on top of that, as adults, what I have found in my research is that people who have the Uncle Marvin have 25% higher life satisfaction and purpose and meaning in life. That's a big deal. So the question is, how do we move this forward? Well, I think we can start by all becoming better emotion scientists as opposed to emotion judges. Right? Judges are great for the courtroom. They're not great for relationships. So how can we be more curious about our own and other people's feelings? How can we be in learner mode as opposed to knower mode? How can we kind of just be better at bouncing back when we fail? So you might not think, I'm supposedly a leading expert in this space. And then the pandemic hit. And then my mother-in-law, who is from Panama, came to live with us by accident because she came for a family wedding on March 7th of 2020. There were no flights back to Panama in March because of the pandemic, or April, or May, or June, or July, or August. Only in September. So 1 month in, it was like, oh, I love my mother-in-law. She doesn't speak English. I'm lucky I speak Spanish. Getting to practice my Spanish. This is fabulous. And then it got a little weird. She'd say things like, what are we doing today? I'm like, I'm working all day. The world's coming to an end. I got stuff to do. And I was Zooming, anxiety reduction meetings, all this stuff. And then it was like, well, can you make me a cup of coffee? I'm like, no. You just push the button. I want you to make me coffee. I'm like, Irene, growth mindset. Learn how to use the machine. And it didn't work. And then we were having dinner one night, and it got really ugly. The dogs were peeing on the rugs. I mean, they felt the anger and everything. And she looked at me and she goes, are you really the director of the Center for Emotional Intelligence? And I just looked at her, I'm like, not tonight. No. this house is going down. Like, and it's not going to be pretty. And it was awful. I was my worst self. And I hate myself for that. But I'm human. And I was overwhelmed and saturated and just not used to having people in my house like that all day long and working from home and all that stuff. But I did go to bed that night, of course. And I went to bed, I'm thinking, Marc, you are the director of the Center for Emotional Intelligence. Like, you write the books and you're the role model, right? What are you going to do differently tomorrow? And it really made me think about the self that I want to be. And so I'm going to end by asking you about the self that you want to be. Please take a nice long inhale. I see myself as someone who has these qualities. You have to fill in the blank. I want to be seen. I want to be talked about. I want to be experienced as someone who has these qualities. What are those qualities? Please just take a moment and think about that. As I wrap, I'd like to hear from 5 people. What came to mind for you? Would you like to share? Anyone? Curious. Someone else? Patient. Encouraging. Warm. A good listener. Hopeful. Genuine. Brave. Love that. So as I wrap up my time with you, I just want to make sure you have some resources. The first is please remember this app because it's free. The second is I worked on this web series that's just come out where I interview some of the world's leading experts on emotional intelligence, on decision making. I interview people like Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses, all about their lives and their journeys in dealing with emotions. So you can check that out on YouTube. Obviously, if you want to read, you can read my book. I'm starting a book club, actually, which will be free online next week, so people can join that and just come along on a journey for 5 weeks talking about this work and going deeper with it. And on that note, I just want to say, firstly, thank you for inviting me to your home in New Hampshire. While I can't make audacious claims because I am a scientist about the impact of this work on your lives right here, right now, I hope you think it's a good place to start. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much. One of the things I love about co-creating with people is I would have never thought of bringing him ever, but Trisha Zahn with Cheshire Medical Center, who is our All In for Health track leader, saw the vision. She brought it forward. Cheshire Medical covered the cost, which we're so grateful for. And thank you to Cheshire Medical. They're doing some really cool things, by the way. We just had our first group of residents. We started a residency program, which is kind of a method of bringing more professionals into a rural area, medical professionals. And talk to Trisha about all the cool stuff they have going on. But thank you so much to Cheshire Medical and to Trisha. So the very brief announcements. Don't forget that the Radically Rural After Party starts at 7 at Brewbakers. Would love to see you there. It's going to be so much fun. We will announce the winner of the slam very shortly, so Gil and Lillian can kind of make their way toward the backstage. But first, I want to bring Nicole Savito from EcoGather up here. she and I have kind of been working with Shaylin, who's doing the 4 o'clock closing session, and I want to give her just a couple minutes, like 1 or 2 minutes, just to give a pitch for staying for that 4 o'clock session. For one, it's kind of not that great to be there when there's not that many people in the audience when you're a speaker, but also I think it's going to be really moving and meaningful and important for folks to be there. So I'm going to give Nicole like 1 minute to say a few words about that, and then I'm going to announce the slam winner, and then we'll be off to our sessions. All right, Nicole, come on up.
Hey. So remember a few minutes ago, more than half an hour ago, when some of you put your hand up and weren't prepared? That's what I just did, but now I'm doing it from here. I am the network weaver for EcoGather. Maybe you saw some messages in the lead up to the summit that we decided to pick up that theme we started with yesterday morning with the amazing opening keynote panel we had around social weaving. Really think about it like enter the metaphor, spend some time playing with the practice of weaving and what it really takes and what it means, and then moving into how do we create connection and repair? What's that practice really like? What are some of the risks around it? What's hard? And then what's the work of mending? And we just spent a whole month doing that and had some really deep, really amazing conversations. I should also say, just our model is that we take all of those guides and facilitation resources and make them public and freely available so folks, whether they've participated in the gathering or not, can take them and have those same conversations in their own communities. So like kind of a trove for you if you want to take pieces of what we've been talking about here back to your communities. Anyway, pitch over. We've spent a bunch of time in that space. And I think through a lot of those conversations, we have realized that things are both simpler and way, way harder than the sound of weaving really is. And Marc's presentation just showed us that it is in part because we all have these roles that we fit ourselves into and that we don't actually have really strong relational capacity, with really strong transactional capacity. We know how to do the thing that we're trained to do, that we do inside of our organizations, that we do maybe better inside our families sometimes, pandemics notwithstanding. And so we decided that we actually need to come back and end the session, end the summit, by weaving some of those conversations. Shaylin's prepared to do that, but it didn't make any sense to have someone come up and try to tell us about weaving alone. So we're gonna have a conversation together, Shaylin, me, Juliana, and all of you who come back to be part of really understanding what it means to try to go back home, to leave this amazing space where we were all able to say we felt pretty good, because we did feel good while we were having these conversations. We do feel good while we're able to lean into all of this. But we're gonna figure out how to wrap that together into something we can carry forward with us so that the weaving continues beyond this. And Shaylin has so much experience in this, and what comes with experience and actual wisdom, growing into wisdom, is knowing that some of the things that you once thought, some of the things that your research proves, are not fixed and permanent. And so a conversation will emerge around what weaving really means, and I can't exactly tell you what it will be because we're going to let it weave together. But please don't leave here with frayed ends, and come back at the end of the day today to be a part of that. Thanks.
And we'll also have the Solution Scavenger Hunt winner announced then, which is, I know, what you've all been waiting for. So that'll be happening at the closing too. All right, so I'm gonna bring Lily and Gil up. Lily's gonna announce who won. And by the way, it was really close between so many people. So everyone has amazing ideas to share and initiatives. So thank you so much to everyone who participated. And I hope everyone has a great day. After this, we'll head on.
Hello. So, the winner of the Solution Slam, can I get a little drum roll, please? Jody Rollins. Come on up, Jody. Come on. Go around those and up the stairs. Very fitting shirt.
Good vibes.
There you go.
Wow. Thank you guys so much.
Congratulations.
I just want to say, if I can, it totally was born out of just the passion to get over depression and anxiety and to connect with people. So I really appreciate each and every one of you who voted for me and even those who did not. Thank you.
I'd like to say just one more thing. Marc, that was a great presentation. And I almost said this earlier because it was really resonating with me. One of my favorite musical artists, Cat Stevens, Yusuf Islam, has a song called Don't Be Shy. And the verse that he says is, don't be shy, just let your feelings roll on by. Don't wear fear, or nobody will know you're there. Just lift your head and let your feelings out instead. Thank you.